All right, so there's other news, and like I mentioned, the Lucas Shaw article. So according to, this is on the F4W website, according to a report from Lucas Shaw Bloomberg, Vince McMahon is seeking as much as $9 billion from a sale. So that's even more than what you had been suggesting, which was eight.
Eight, yeah. Well, of course he wants more, and that's a good way. If you think you can get eight, you go public and say nine to get the bidding up, and maybe that will work. It's worth 6.5 on the stock market right now, and that's even inflated because it's but what's it worth? It's like if you're going like 20 times profit, just to throw that was a profit last year. I wrote the story. I think it was like 180 million or something like that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe even less. So it's not whatever. I mean, like if I'm Comcast and you say 9 billion, it's like kind of like maybe that's too much. And again, the indication is Comcast isn't interested, and they were the most likely. They were the ones where it made the most sense. Fox, I don't think, is interested. They want to sell to a media company, but that may not be the right thing. And then, Endeavor, 9 billion's a lot. I mean, yeah, they paid 4 billion for UFC, and that was a high price. And this isn't any more valuable than UFC. It's years later, so some value has gone up. And UFC would be sold for, if UFC was on the market, it would be sold. It would be essentially the same value as WWE. Realistically, and it probably would be 6, 7, but not 9. And but whatever he can get, he's going to get, and we'll see what happens. What I know for sure is that there is no deal that is done, for sure. And I don't know how many people are out there wanting it. If McMahon wants 9, I mean, I think he might be able to get it from Saudi Arabia because if they really want it, it's not too much for them. But that seems like a high price. Saudi Arabia has been like the greatest thing for Vince's pocketbooks because that he's exactly what they want. The idea of having the top, this is what they want. They want the top company only, and it's got to be popular in America, and it's got to be a product that can be exported around the world. That's what they want. And again, soccer is a different ball game, and they know they can't be the top league. Golf, they do want to be the top league. They attempted it, they aren't, but that's the goal. But if they buy WWE, they are the top league in that endeavor. But it's important for them to be the top league. That would be like something they would pay a premium for.
And then also he tweeted and he said, for what it's worth, sources have expressed skepticism that many traditional media companies will buy WWE, but there's definitely some interested parties like Endeavor, Middle East, and such. And so this part about the traditional media, I also heard that on another podcast, but it's kind of like, wouldn't that be the one that would want to buy them?
Yes, but a lot of these companies are not. Again, that's another thing. I spent all morning on that. It's like, the Bally's bankruptcy thing is like the start of something very, very different when it comes to sports. It's a huge story because, we always talk how high can these sports rights go. And essentially, I mean, the thing that I learned, I didn't learn, but it was outright said to me by, president of a major sports league, that, these rights are way too high. You know what I mean? We're getting paid more than we're worth, and that can't go forever. And now we're finally perhaps at a situation where, is it going to happen? I mean, because now the new thing with the baseball, this is a catastrophic thing for baseball, and because a lot of these teams, that was a key, huge revenue source.
Yeah.
Were these local rights fees, and this company's, the bankruptcy means they're not going, they're under contract. They expected to get them for years and years and years. And now this company's going bankrupt because they cannot pay it. And that's the beginning. And then other media companies are looking at, many of these media companies, WBD being one of them. I mean, it's not like 10 years ago where, these networks, NBC and, USA and, that whole portfolio were these giant profit-making places. And they still are making a profit, like ESPN's giant profitable, but they're still doing cutbacks because they look at the future and they see a more murky future because, how are people consuming? I mean, cable TV is changing and in the class that I taught today, I mean, almost nobody had cable and they have they have their different streaming services, but and these are sports people, and and they they'll have YouTube TV or something like that, which is streaming, and allows them to get the the games on whether it's ESPN or TNT or whatever. But it's so it's still like the stations are still there and they're still the most popular stations, but the nature of the revenue and everything like that is very, very different. And, everyone's scared of a big purchase right now, I think is the best way to put it, of a WWE, like in its own weird way. I mean, they wouldn't have gotten the same amount of money, but if they were on the market when UFC was on the market, there would have probably been more suitors then because, this going into the iceberg thing, wasn't anything what he was thinking about in 2016. And today everybody's worried about like what's going on, where's this thing going in 3 years? Nobody knows. It used to be like you plan 5-10 years ahead, we all do, and now it's like 18 months from now this thing's going to be different. So any planning is just like put a blindfold on and throw your dart, you know what I mean? Because you don't know. People say they know, even like Nick Khan, who probably knows more than almost anyone, he doesn't know either. None of us do where this thing's going because it's a brave new world.
And it was only a couple weeks ago when that CNBC person said to Nick Khan that he didn't think Comcast was in on the bid. But doesn't that ultimately hurts WWE to have people pulling out of the of the bidding?
Yes. Maybe Vince won't sell, but there are going to be people who want it. And if they don't sell, the stock price goes way, way down also. So for whatever that's worth, but obviously Vince wants to sell and he's probably trying to find someone who's going to keep him in charge, even though they say different. But again, yeah, I mean, when everyone's talking about like, WWE this, WWE that, it's like WWE, if they sell in 6 months, it's going to be a very different company. Look, I know UFC so very, very well what happened in 2016, and Endeavor changed so much there. I mean, it's like, yeah, you got the same fights and you still have Dana promoting it. And from the outside, you look and it looks like it's the same thing. On the inside, completely different. And no loyalty to the people who bought the brand. I mean, people who work in WWE, if Endeavor gets it, I mean, so many of those people that thought they were lifers, are going to end up not being lifers, so it's, and nobody's, I don't say nobody, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe, pretty much. Yeah. So it just becomes again, 18 months from now, maybe 9 months from now, there's, wrestling could be very, very different than it is even today.
Poor Steffi, every time she comes out, she gets...
Poor Steffi, all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, her and her dad were in the ring, and he was going to give her... It's going
to be quite a review tonight.
He was going to give her a trophy for something.
Oh, the good old days.
And then Shane tells his dad he wants to run Monday Night Raw.
This is insane. Meanwhile, there's gigantic news in the world of wrestling that we're not talking about because we got to talk about a Raw from 25 years ago. Yes, Granny?
Can I stay long enough to hear what the news is? I know what it is.
Well, we don't know what the news is officially, Granny, so just tune in tomorrow.
No. What a crummy show.
Wow.
What do you want me to do about it? What the... If you enjoy these videos, for just $7.99 per month, you can enjoy full-length editions of The Brian and Vinny Show, Wrestling Observer Live, Figure 4 Daily with Tom Lawler and Lance Storm, the Mad Men Podcast, Speak Now Pro Wrestling with Denise Salcedo, and more, plus hundreds of archived shows, all in beautiful HD. Don't miss out. Join us today.